As I'm recording this video in January 2023, as a new year starts, I'm thinking about how two things inspire so many of us creatives: music and movies. Both of these mediums have the ability to help us dream and see beyond the confines of our mundane, day-to-day existence. Music creates images in your head. While listening to one of your favorite songs, you can imagine yourself at a concert or even in a recording studio as if you were the one creating the music. And with movies, especially if you see the movie on the big screen in a darkened theater, you can instantly be transported to that exotic, even imaginary place, that place of fantasy and wonder. A movie that did that for me when I was a child, a movie that really sparked my imagination and reinforced my desire to become a writer and a filmmaker, was a movie musical. That movie was Purple Rain, the 1984 rock and roll classic starring the late, great, one and only Prince. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge Prince fan. In fact, my longtime friend Tara bought me this cool t-shirt for my birthday last year. I've made previous videos on this channel about different aspects of my Prince fandom. And for this video, I want to share with you the amazing experience that I had over the holiday season, traveling to Chicago, which is about a 5.5-hour drive from my city, Columbus, Ohio, for an exhibit called the Prince Immersive Experience. This exhibit is truly amazing. I got to fanboy out, along with hundreds of other people from all over the world. It was so exciting walking through this exhibit in downtown Chicago in what was once, appropriately, a Virgin Megastore record store. The coolest thing about this exhibit was that it offered me and all the other exhibit goers the opportunity to recreate a moment from our childhoods. That moment when I first saw Purple Rain, when I was 11 going on 12 in the summer of '84. I remember seeing Purple Rain vividly and thinking, wow, who is this guy? Before Purple Rain, I sort of knew who Prince was. I'd seen some of his music videos. Now that was the early days of BET and MTV. I remember hearing songs like Little Red Corvette on the radio and thinking, that's kind of cool. When Purple Rain came out, I was just at the age when I was starting to get into music for myself and decide what I liked and listen to stuff that I found intriguing, and not just listen to whatever my parents, grandparents, and other extended family members happened to be listening to, or stuff that I just caught on the car radio when my family and I were riding along. When my Aunt Kathy took me and my cousins, Darlene and Stacy, to a local theater to see Purple Rain, that was between the summer of 6th and 7th grades, I was mesmerized from the opening scene when Prince and the Revolution performed Let's Go Crazy. Just like millions of people all over the world, I fell in love with the man and his music. That movie-going experience was formative, transformative, and something I got to recreate by attending the Prince Immersive Experience exhibit. And not only did I get to relive the experience of seeing Purple Rain and listening to Prince's music all these years, I actually got to step foot onto the sets of several of his most iconic music videos, like When Doves Cry and Diamonds and Pearls, or at least very detailed replicas of those music videos. In this video, I'll take you step by step through the Prince Immersive Experience exhibit. Spoiler alert, if you plan to go to the exhibit and you want to be surprised when you have the experience, then don't watch this video. I'll begin this journey through the exhibit by asking, is the water warm enough? Shall we begin? We shall. The experience starts with people entering the exhibit in groups based on your time-stamped ticket. The first area that you encounter is a lobby with a big screen that shows an introduction video. Throughout the exhibit, I was really surprised that they were allowing photos and videos to be taken by ticket holders. I just assumed that a lot of this stuff is copyrighted and trademarked, and Prince's estate doesn't want this content posted all over the internet. But I think it's so cool that they're allowing the fans to memorialize this experience and share it on social media, which of course will only help preserve Prince's legacy. This exhibit will also hopefully get other people who either weren't Prince fans when he was alive, or young people who weren't born when he was alive, to learn about and appreciate his music and movies. After you enter the lobby and watch the introduction video, you're ushered onto the set of the When Doves Cry music video. You enter through the iconic purple doors that are featured at the beginning of the music video. If you've seen the When Doves Cry video, you know it begins with those doors opening, sort of inviting the viewer into Prince's purple little world. And that's how this exhibit begins as well. It's awesome how they recreated the set of When Doves Cry. There's the famous bathtub where Prince lip-synced the lyrics while covered or partially covered in suds. And there's also the dresser with his hat and a framed photo of the artist. Perhaps the biggest and best part of the When Doves Cry set is a wall-sized mural of that famous graphic design of a woman's face. That face was featured as the backdrop when the Revolution performs during the When Doves Cry video. The face was also imprinted on the huge stage curtain on the Purple Rain concert tour. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the tour in person because I was too young. The next area of the exhibit is way cool. It's a recreation of one of the recording studios in Prince's sprawling production complex in his hometown of Minneapolis, Paisley Park. There's a replica of one of the soundboards. The song that was playing on the soundboard when I went to the exhibit was Let's Go Crazy. You could manipulate the controls and hear each instrument isolated, or just hear Prince's vocals singing the song a cappella. I'm a very musical person, and while I'm not a musician, I love all different kinds of music, and I think I have a pretty good ear. But I don't have a good enough musically trained ear to be able to detect certain instruments when they're buried deep in the mix of a song. I guess I could never be a recording studio engineer because I can't necessarily listen to a mix of a song and isolate each instrument in my head. But the soundboard in the Prince Immersive Experience exhibit allows you to do just that by adjusting the controls. I've listened to Let's Go Crazy dozens, maybe even hundreds of times over the course of my lifetime, but I had never really heard the bass in the song before. The guitar is very prominent in the radio mix of Let's Go Crazy, but I'd never really heard the bass line before. It was cool manipulating the controls on the soundboard to hear the bass and each instrument individually. It was way cool getting to feel like you're visiting Paisley Park. I've had the privilege of visiting the real Paisley Park several times. I haven't ventured to Minneapolis since Prince died, but I did visit Paisley Park several times when he was alive. I never got to take a tour of the entire complex, but I did get to see Prince perform with legends Mavis Staples and George Clinton, appropriately enough, in 1999. I also attended the very first Paisley Park celebration event in 2000. For that occasion, Prince hosted a week of shows celebrating the fact that his long, drawn-out legal battle with his former record label, Warner Brothers, had finally come to an end, and he'd reclaimed his name and was no longer going by the artist formerly known as symbol. And in 2002, I attended the Paisley Park celebration once again, and made the 14-hour drive to Minneapolis, and got to see Sheila E. perform in the venue's mammoth soundstage. I'll never forget that night because that was when Prince came on stage and duetted with Sheila on the sentimental ballad, You've Got a Friend. He also invited the entire audience to a local Minneapolis movie theater to see the Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to the movie theater that night thinking Prince was just joking around. He was, after all, a notorious practical joker. So I went back to my hotel and just went to sleep. You can imagine how angry I was with myself when I later found out that Prince did make good on his promise, not only renting out a movie theater for the audience, but also treating them to popcorn and candy. Oh well, at least I got to see the inside of his recording studio during the Prince Immersive Experience. It was cool getting a glimpse inside his creative process. In a corner of the studio, one of Prince's famous Lindrum machines was displayed underneath a glass case. I can understand why they don't want people touching the Lindrum machine, since it's such an essential part of Prince's sound and is truly iconic. I've used that word a lot in this video, iconic. That's the only word that really captures the essence of the experience. The Prince Immersive Experience culminates by allowing exhibit goers to recreate movie magic. You actually get to sit on Prince's motorcycle and reenact the iconic Purple Rain movie poster and album cover. I have to tell you, that experience was surreal and something I'll never forget, just like the first time I saw the movie in the summer of '84. By the time I post this video, I'm pretty sure the exhibit will have closed in Chicago, and I don't know if the exhibit plans to tour the country. To get this information, I would go on the Prince Estate's website and also just Google Prince Immersive Experience. And if I can find this information out, I'll post it in the link in the description to this video. If you're interested in learning more about Prince's movies and music, then I would actually visit Paisley Park, which thankfully has been turned into a museum. What are the iconic movie moments that inspire you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and as Prince would say, may you live to see the dawn. If you like this video, please leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel.